Have you ever felt, deep in your gut, that something was terribly wrong, even when his words were saying exactly what you wanted to hear? There's a dissonance, a constant noise between what you see and what you feel. You spend your days walking on eggshells, overanalyzing every message, every tone, of voice, trying to crack the code of someone who seems to change personalities as easily as they change clothes. Many of you come to me exhausted, not physically, but with a soul-deep exhaustion. You ask me, am I overreacting? Is he just difficult? Is it just work stress? Doubt is the greatest weapon against your freedom. As long as you doubt, you stay. As long as you try to fix what you don't understand, you wear yourself out. In this video, we aren't going to talk about guesses. We are going to talk about evidence. Narcissism isn't just vanity or an inflated ego. It is a personality disorder, a rigid way of functioning that leaves very specific tracks. Tracks that, if you know how to identify them, act as a map out of this labyrinth. If the person you are with does one of these 5 things I'm about to detail, we aren't talking about a personality quirk. We are talking about a pathology. We are talking about a way of functioning that is incompatible with healthy love, reciprocity, and your peace of mind. Get ready, because we are going to validate what your intuition has been screaming at you for months, or maybe even years. My name is Lauren Mitchell. My purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you, and more importantly, that you are not alone. First sign, cold cognitive empathy. The first sign is the most confusing of all because it disguises itself as love. Many victims believe that a narcissist is incapable of understanding feelings. This is a dangerous mistake. If he didn't understand feelings, he wouldn't know exactly where to hurt you. What happens here is the phenomenon of cognitive empathy. The narcissist understands intellectually what you are feeling. He knows that if he cries, you'll soften up. He knows that if he says that one romantic phrase, you'll forgive him. He has mapped out your emotional blueprint, but there is an unbridgeable chasm. He doesn't feel your pain. Imagine an actor studying a role. He knows that in this scene, the character should look sad. He furrows his brow. He lowers. His voice. But inside, he's thinking about what he's going to have for dinner after the show. That is how the narcissist operates during moments of conflict or reconciliation. You notice this when his reaction feels timed or slightly artificial, or worse, when he uses your vulnerability against you. You tell him, in a moment of intimacy, about a deep fear, an insecurity about your body or your career. He listens intently, cognitive empathy, but 2 weeks later, during a fight, he uses that exact information to destroy you. He says, "That's why nobody at your job respects you," rubbing salt in the wound you showed him. A person capable of effective empathy, of feeling with the other person, would never use a confession of pain as ammunition for war. If he does this, if he files away your weaknesses to use them strategically, that isn't an emotional outburst. That is calculated malice. It is a clear sign that you are dealing with someone who sees the relationship as a power struggle, not a partnership. He isn't there to hold space for your pain. He is there to manage it in his favor. Second sign, word salad and circular reality. This second point is responsible for the feeling that you are going crazy. Think about the last time you tried to confront him about something simple. Maybe he came home very late without calling, or he was rude to your mother. A simple issue, right? It should have a simple resolution. "I'm sorry, it won't happen again." But with a narcissist, the conversation never follows a straight line. You start the discussion talking about his lateness, and 10 minutes later, you're defending yourself against an accusation about something you did in 2018. We call this word salad. It's a disorientation tactic. When you confront him with the truth, his defense system collapses and he needs to regain control. How does he do it? By creating chaos. He changes the subject. He projects. He denies what he just said. He questions the meaning of words. He asks nonsensical rhetorical questions. You leave the conversation exhausted, confused, and often apologizing. Look at the dynamic. For you, the goal of the conversation is resolution. For him, the goal is victory and evasion. He will use phrases like, "You're crazy," "You're always exaggerating," "I didn't say that," "You heard it wrong." This is gaslighting in real time. But word salad goes further. It's that ability to talk for hours without saying absolutely anything, just to wear you down until you give up. It is psychological torture. If every time you try to express a legitimate need, the conversation turns into a courtroom where you are the defendant, that is a Pathological sign. He isn't struggling with communication. He is actively sabotaging communication to avoid responsibility. Third sign. Constant micro-betrayal and triangulation. When we talk about betrayal in a narcissistic context, most people think of the physical act of adultery, but the narcissist betrays you long before that, in much more subtle and corrosive ways. I'm talking about the pathological need for external, narcissistic supply. Have you noticed how he desperately needs attention from other people? It could be the waitress, a coworker, or even interactions on social media. It's not just being friendly, it's a sexualized energy, a veiled flirtation he puts out there. And if you complain, he says you're jealous and insecure. This is where triangulation comes in. The narcissist loves to make you feel like you are competing for his love. He will casually mention how the girl at the office is so smart, or how his ex-girlfriend used to do something so well. The goal isn't to praise the other person. The goal is to devalue you. He creates a triangle where he is at the top, and you and someone else, real or imaginary, are at the base, fighting for his attention. This creates constant anxiety in you, a need to prove your worth, to be better than the other person. And while you are busy trying to be the best wife, the prettiest, the most understanding, you don't have time to look at his abusive behavior. If he cultivates friendships that make you uncomfortable and refuses to set respectful boundaries, claiming you are controlling, understand this. He isn't defending his freedom. He is defending his supply. He needs to know he is desired by others to prop up his fragile ego. And he doesn't care if the emotional security of the relationship is the price he has to pay. Fourth sign. Weaponized victimhood. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive sign, and the one that keeps empathetic women trapped in abusive relationships the most. We tend to imagine the narcissist only as the grandiose, arrogant person who thinks they are God. But there is the vulnerable narcissist, and even the grandiose one uses victimhood as a weapon. Weaponized victimhood happens when he flips the narrative so that his abusive acts are seen as reactions to a trauma or suffering. If he screams at you, it's because he had a hard childhood. If he cheats on you, it's because you didn't give him enough attention and he felt abandoned. If he doesn't work, it's because the world is unfair to him. Notice the maneuver. He is never the villain. He is always the misunderstood victim. And because you are an empathetic woman with a nurturing instinct, you fall into the trap. You think, I can heal him with my love. If I'm patient, he will change. He uses his own incompetence or sadness to control you. He makes you feel guilty for holding someone so broken accountable. It is the tyranny of weakness. But notice the contradiction. He is too fragile to work or be faithful, but he is strong enough to manipulate you, lie, and articulate complex stories to cover his tracks. If every time you point out a mistake, the conversation ends with him crying about how hard life is and you comforting your aggressor, you are dealing with a narcissist. This is a performance. True pain generates humility and a search for change. Narcissistic pain only generates more demands and an exemption from guilt. Fifth sign. Predatory indifference in your moment of pain. I saved this one for last because it is the ultimate test. It is the moment the mask falls off and you see the emptiness in his eyes. We can all be selfish sometimes, but in moments of crisis, an illness, a loss, a job loss, an accident, a normal person, even if they are fighting with you, feels empathy. The human instinct is to comfort. The narcissist reacts to your pain or your illness with annoyance, boredom, or even anger. Why? Because your pain steals the attention that should be on him. If you are sick, you can't serve him. You stop being a source of supply and start being a burden. You will notice that when you are down, he mysteriously picks a fight, disappears, or gets sick too, but with an illness worse than yours. Or he might even help, but he makes sure to let you know what a huge sacrifice it is, holding it over your head as an eternal debt of gratitude. That coldness, that blank stare while you cry, that ability to sleep peacefully while you are having an anxiety attack right next to him. That is not normal. That is predatory indifference. It is the smoking gun that, for him, you are not a human being with needs. You are an object. And when an object breaks, we don't comfort the object. We get annoyed because it stopped working. That's hard to hear, I know. But it is the truth that sets you free. If you recognize these 5 signs, calculated empathy, circular communication, triangulation, victimhood, and indifference to your pain, I want you to take a deep breath right now. The confusion you feel is not your fault. The feeling of going crazy was manufactured. You are trying to apply the rules of a healthy human relationship to an interaction with someone who doesn't play by those rules. It's like trying to play chess with a pigeon. He's going to knock over the pieces, mess up the board, and fly off puffing his chest like he won. Understanding that this is a pattern, that he or she is a narcissist or has strong traits, isn't so you can go and diagnose them to their face. That would only trigger more narcissistic rage. This knowledge is for you. It's so you can stop expecting oranges from an apple tree. It's so you can stop investing your soul into trying to fix someone who doesn't think they are broken. Clarity is the first step to detachment. Now that you see the puppet strings, they start to lose their power. You aren't crazy. You were manipulated. And now that you know the truth, you have the power to start charting your way back to yourself. The way out of this cycle isn't easy, but it is possible. And it begins with this radical acceptance of reality. He is what he is. And you deserve much more than being supply for someone's ego. Feel free to leave your story, your thoughts, or even a suggestion for the next video in the comments below. Click the link in the description to check out my ebook and the benefits of being a channel member. Click the suggested video on the screen to stay with me, and remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.